Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Spencer.
And this is a board game rundown. Today we are going to do a review of Decktective, The Gaze of the Ghost. This is by Giochi Games. And this is different than their normal Deckscape, which is sort of like an escape room in a box. This is like a straight up mystery. You are trying to solve a mystery of maybe a ghost in this castle, and this was really unique. So like the Deckscape game, you basically open up the box and it says like, this is the first card. Don't read this card, flip it over, do the thing, and then you start to get some puzzles that you're going to solve. This one plays completely different. So Spencer didn't get to play, but I want him to hear about this because he's going to take this home and try it out.
Looking forward to it.
So here's the answer. No.
Yeah. It was
42.
sloths. The whole time. Yep. It was sloths. So you've got these markers here. They're clips. You're going to clip on the side of the card later on, which I'll explain. So you're going to start with this card. You're going to flip it over, and it's going to lay out the crime. What happened. Give you some of the details. And then you are going to, you're going to set up the room by sticking the bits in the box. So you're going to put the box together like this. And then the cards will sit in the box, so they hold in there. So you've got the room. You can look at the room inside and outside.
Oh, interesting.
And you're going to be looking for clues in there. And then here's the really cool thing about this is you're going to draw cards to your hand when it tells you, and you're going to have up to like 3 cards, okay? And on your turn, you're going to either archive a card. So that means you're going to put down a card face down that you don't think has information that's going to help. Now, you can't tell people what. You can read the titles of your cards, but you cannot tell people what your cards say until you play it. Or you can play a card face up, and it goes to part of the puzzle. But here's the rub. Why wouldn't you play every card face up? Because cards have a cost on the top. And so you have to have so many cards face down to be able to play a card face up with the cost. So some of them are like 1. You can start right away and play that. And some of the clues are like, nah, I don't know that this means anything. And you put it face down. Now you can play cards that cost 1 or 2, so on and so forth. So you leave them kind of spread out as you go. And then different puzzles, there's going to be plot twists that can happen. So
yeah, it's super clever because that system then makes it to where if a card happens later in the night, right, then it will be like, it'll have like a 6 cost, meaning that a certain amount of turns will have at least had to have gone around for that card to even be played, meaning it will thematically makes sense that card has to happen that late. You know
it
works really well.
So it tells you what time the mystery starts, and then you're going to unlock basically like little time codes on the cards as you play them, so that you know that this happened at midnight, or you know this happened at 11:30, or you know that this happened.
You're kind of like building a timeline.
So it's really rad, and the setting changes as you go through and as you play cards and as you work through your deck. And then when you get to the end, it's basically going to ask you a series of questions. And you are going to they've got like boxes. So it's like multiple choice. And you're going to clip on the card your answers. And then before you start flipping everything over, you can kind of reevaluate and go, maybe this is this and this is this. But once you start flipping the cards over, there's no changing your answers. And it's really clever because when you flip the card over, if your clip is on the right answer, it's like the only thing there, right? So it'll be blank. And then it'll have the correct answer, and then it breaks down how and when things happened. And it's really neat. It was really neat. Now, like some of these games, you have to be careful, like reading too much into or not enough into things. I would say, like any of these games, you need to look at the pictures very carefully because it is things that you know are important.
Yep. That
can be missed. But there's some stuff we spotted. We did pretty well. We did average, like just above average maybe on our score by the end of it. But then the great thing about this kind of game is we just put all the cards back in numerical order, and now I can pass it along to somebody else and say, here you go, have a go at this mystery.
Yeah. If you like that Sherlock Holmes consulting detective kind of thing, it's like, hey, do you want to play that but in 45 minutes with a bunch of friends? Like,
it's half as long as an episode of Sherlock.
Yeah, and it basically can take as long as you want it to, right? Because
that's true. That's something.
If you are, because you can spend as much time going over the answers and questions and everything. Mm-hmm. So unlike the Deckscape, where it's like, oh, play this in an hour.
Yeah, so that's something I will say I liked more about this one too than the Deckscape, which I did enjoy. but I don't. I talked about it in the Deckscape review that we had, but I don't like the fake feeling rushed timed
Oh,
mechanic
sure.
that games seem to do sometimes. And this one didn't have that. This one is a slow-paced deduction game. Work together. I will say, I think we would have done better if we just, because you talked about this, and I'm literally sitting here like, we never did that. But
The time code thing?
No. After the first round, we never said the title of the cards we were pulling like ever.
Oh,
again.
yeah, we
We
did.
never said the title of the cards again. Like, we did it the first round because it tells you, hey, you can say the titles but not the words. Okay, here's all the cards I have in my hand. And then every time you'd play a card, you draw a new one. We were never saying the title of the new cards we were pulling,
Huh.
and that probably would have helped people
It
piece
could've.
together things in their own hand, you know? But, yeah, I just literally was like, oh, we're so stupid.
And
But,
I was genuinely surprised by some of the plot twists that we encountered.
yeah, it was a really cool story. Like I said, the way they make it this linear path that you're following because of how the cost on the numbers are affected and the time codes work and everything, but making you feel like you're actually still making decisions and stuff. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? While following. I enjoyed this Deckective one.
Immensely,
Yeah,
right?
so
Did you like
much.
this one better than the one we did last?
Yes,
Yes.
I said definitely. I enjoyed
Definitely
Deckscape. I like this type of system more. And who knows, though? The other Deckscapes can be totally different than that one.
Right.
And the other Decktectives could play different than this one, right? They're going to have the same basic mechanics.
Right.
But they could play totally
They
different.
could have
So
they could have different.
just comparing those two is a bit unfair. I
Sure.
get that.
And yeah. And we've got some other Deckscapes that we're going to review coming up, so we can talk about that as we've got more to compare. But if you were just going to give this like a 1 to 10, so I would say you got to factor in Decktective, right? Like the
Yeah, exactly.
the system, and you can use the story too to affect your thing. But just going off the system and the way it plays, let's assume that you like the story every time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to come down at, I don't know what I gave the other one, so I'm just saying a number here. I
Yeah,
think I'm
do
going
it.
to give it like an 8.5.
Yeah.
I think I'm
Yeah.
going right there. This was an awesome, simple social deduction experience. I
Yeah,
like this a lot. Not
yeah.
social deduction, deduction. sorry.
Deduction, straight deduction. Yeah, this was a 9. Like the way
Yeah.
it played, the way we had some genuine surprises
Yeah.
with stuff, and I think everybody was having a good time. Nobody, this sort of eliminates the like, oh, I didn't even get to see that puzzle, because as you're putting out the facts, everything is just laid out in front of all the players as you play a card. So there's really no like, okay, we've got these 3 puzzles we've got to work through to try to find this key to do this thing. It's basically like, okay, these are all the facts. Are you ready to play your next? Like, is the next person ready
Well, yeah,
to?
there's none of that like, and some people might not like this, I guess, but I enjoy. There's none of that like, here, let me see that puzzle. You work on this puzzle. It's like, no, this is my puzzle,
Yeah.
and then this is everyone's puzzle.
Okay, and you've got to determine what cards
are important.
are important.
Yeah, because the ones you're putting face up are the ones you are submitting into evidence.
And you can
basically,
see
right?
where it's very easy where some cards you don't think matter, you put down, and then later on you're like, oh no.
Yeah, but you are allowed, though, at the end of the game, open talking will happen. So you can say then, okay, earlier in the game I put a card face down in archives, but it was this. I think that is
Right.
important.
And it
Here's what
said
says.
specifically that
Before
sloths.
the final.
It's right before the final outcome.
Yeah.
You get one chance to talk about everything.
I discarded a card that said the sloths were being used as Colombian drug mules, and
Yeah.
I know I thought that
yeah,
didn't
I
mean
didn't
anything.
think it was important then.
But
all of a sudden,
now
the whole
it's-
case rests on
the
this.
whole case rests on that. So the sloth cartels, everybody knows they're notorious. But anyways, yeah. So for the board game rundown, that is an 8.75 rating on
is.
Decktective. A very strong outing. After Spencer plays it, I would love to hear what he's got to say. I know this is going to kind of make the rounds in the group, but we really just wanted to get a chance to like crack it open.
Yes,
So-
these are cheap, fun, ingenuitive, stocking stuffers, regiftable.
Yeah.
That's
Because as
fantastic.
soon
and
as you
relatively
play it,
short.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, we
exactly.
were under an hour, and we were learning how to play.
Sure.
Now we
This
know
was our
the
first
system.
Deckective, yeah.
It might go faster, but it could take longer because you're spending more time like chewing on the mystery.
Yeah,
and
it
trying
might
to-
be like, I'm just not wrapping my head around these clues.
Yeah.
Exactly, sure.
But so really, really glad we got a chance to check this out. It was a lot of fun. We had a
Yeah.
great time with it. So Spencer, that's yours.
That's yours now.
That's yours now until
Good
you
luck.
do it.
Hope you do worse than us.
Yeah, do worse than us.
Well,
I'm not telling you what our score was, but guess what? You did worse than us.
You literally started the episode saying kind of what our score was.
I said we were above average.
be careful. My wife has a PhD.
I know
Yeah.
it's terrifying. You're both way too smart to be having anything to do with us. So for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
I've been Dan.
And I've been Spencer.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.